And don't forget to start video, Bobby.
Okay. Well, I'll call to order the April 15th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting at 7 o'clock. I'm Ron Cooch and I'll be the chair this evening. The second order of business is the approval of the minutes for February 19th, 2024. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as noted.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is our scheduled public hearing for the evening. I have this long thing to read here. So sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee. Now is the time for the advertised public hearing in the matter of case file number 627-24-000003-PLNG. Request to expand an existing conditional use within the residential zone. The criteria applicable to the request are set forth in chapters 18.04, 18.08, 18.60, 18.68 and 10.12 of the North Bend City Code. All testimony and evidence must be directed toward the applicable criteria. The applicant bears the burden of proving that the applicable criteria has been met. The applicant in this matter is Jim Hossley. Jim? The owners of the subject property is the Harbor Assembly. Tonight's hearing is a de novo hearing. Any person may testify or present evidence during this hearing. Any issue which may be the basis for an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals shall be raised not later than the close of the record at or following the final evidentiary hearing before this commission. Such issues shall be raised and accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford this body and the other parties an adequate opportunity to respond to each issue. Page 2. Persons wishing to address the Planning Commission shall be limited to a period of 3 minutes per person, with preference being given to North Bend residents and non-resident business and property owners. If any group of 3 or more persons sharing a common viewpoint on any subject wishes to address the Planning Commission during the time for comment, the group may select a spokesperson who shall present the views of the group to the commission. Written testimony in the form of petitions, letters, etc. may be presented to the Planning Commission for consideration. The applicant will be allowed time to make their presentation. All other persons speaking in favor or against the application shall have 3 minutes. The applicant will have 5 minutes for rebuttal testimony. So does any member of this body need to disclose any conflicts of interest or ex parte communications with respect to tonight's hearing?
No.
I did have just a brief conversation with a friend of mine who is a member of the church, just a brief conversation. Does anyone have an objection to the stated commission member serving as the tribunal in this matter? So we're a tribunal now?
That is the technical term.
Okay. So Commissioner Cooch, do you feel that you can make an objective decision based on the limited and to the evidence presented here? Yes, I do. We'll now hear from staff. We'll go over the staff report. Derek?
Good evening, commissioners. So before you tonight is a conditional use application, and more specifically, a modification of an existing conditional use. The proposal is to expand the existing church's sanctuary located at 2050 Lincoln Street by approximately 3,500 square feet, 3,600 square feet rather. This expansion would occur on a parcel that is approximately 4.4 acres. So to put it simply, there's plenty of room for this expansion should you choose to approve the application. There's no concerns with regards to setbacks or lot coverage on this parcel, and the biggest concerns, which should be addressed through the imposition of conditions in accordance with North Bend City Code, Chapter 18.60, are the site development standards. The applicant states that an increased number of congregants is the driving factor for this proposed expansion. Throughout the applicant's application, the narrative explains that the proposal is within the design guidelines that we have on the books and will only slightly stray from the existing conditions while still meeting the criteria set forth in North Bend City Code, Chapter 18, which is our zoning and development code. The existing parking facilities are oversized in comparison to the existing use and will be slightly overstrength should the proposed expansion be approved. Because of this, the church use does not generate on-street parking, so impacts to adjacent uses are minimal if existent at all. Parking has been accounted for according to the Institute of Transportation Engineers Traffic Generation Manual, which provides database guidelines for the number of trips and parking requirements according to land use typology. It's important to note that the proposed expansion is to occur opposite of existing residential uses to the west and southwest, and are inset far enough from the property lines to have limited or minimal effect on the adjacent residential uses to the north. As of this time, no public comments have been received in this matter, and limited departmental comments have been made. The building department has stated that there are additional fire and life safety considerations that must be implemented through the design phase and construction phase of this project. Accessibility and egress must be considered and accounted for. Energy code must meet current code for the new portion of the building. And finally, some structural considerations must be met in order to account for the increased loading of the existing structure. The fire department reiterated that all fire codes and standards must be met prior to occupancy, and we can hammer that out a little further through a pre-application conference with the applicant. Public Works Department stated that North Bend City Code Chapter 10.12 compliance must be met and shown on plans and implemented through the phases of development. And the planning department has enumerated the conditions below. 1, the development shall comply with the standards set forth for pathways in North Bend City Code, Chapter 10.12.140. The required off-street parking plan must accompany the application for development in accordance with North Bend City Code, Chapter 18.68.040, and comply with all applicable standards set forth in Chapter 18.68 North Bend City Code. And this is primarily to show pedestrian access and circulation that will likely need to be revised as this is a major development. Number 3, pedestrian pathways must be improved at the cost of the developer in accordance with North Bend City Code Chapter 10.12.140. This means interconnected pathways within the development. Number 4, sidewalks must be improved along the street frontage in accordance with North Bend City Code Chapter 10.12.150. Number 5, an approved use occupancy permit must be obtained for each of the proposed uses separately pursuant to North Bend City Code Chapter 18.04.020 subsection 2. Number 6, all signs must be authorized under standards set forth in Chapter 18.70 North Bend City Code. And it's important to note that no signs have been proposed at the time of this application, but it is something that I want to consider as our sign code has changed since the existence of this use. And number 7, all development is subject to the applicable building and fire codes as specified in North Bend City Code 15.04.040 and ORS 455. With all of that, staff finds that the Planning Commission can approve application case file number 627-24-000003 PLNG based on the facts and findings in the staff report and the proposed final order pursuant conditions enumerated as 1 through 7. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions that you may have.
So there are several conditions, and have those been met to this date, or will they be?
They'll be implemented through the design phase, which is, this application type of conditional use is for us to review what's on hand and impose conditions that would ensure compliance with our existing city code.
Okay. But our job here tonight is to decide on the conditional use permit.
That is correct.
Not all those other things, 1 through 7.
1 through 7 are part of the proposed final order.
So the Derek's two-page letter of the OSSC, is that Oregon State?
Oregon Oregon Structural Specialty Code.
So all those are included in your condition.
Yes, that is the building code's requirements. All right.
Okay, John?
I have nothing.
Okay, now we'll hear from the primary applicant, Jim Hossley, who has 15 minutes to present their case.
Just staying here.
Come
sit up
come
here.
and sit up here, make yourself comfortable.
Thank you, Chairman Kush and members of the commission. I have really nothing to add to what Derek said, shared tonight and presented. We have no objections to the conditions or any concerns with those. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
I really don't have any.
Yeah, any questions, yeah.
All right.
Derek has done a stellar job of filling this in.
Well, thank you.
And your application is just. it's all-
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
It's like you've done this before,
Maybe a time or two.
maybe time or two. Okay, well, with that, we'll hear from anyone who's in support of the application. You're not in support of the
Oh, I
application? It's all right.
Really have nothing else.
Okay, we'll now hear from anyone who is neutral to the application. And we'll now hear from anyone who is opposed to the application. Okay. Any other information before we go to deliberation?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. I'll now entertain the motion to close public comment.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We'll now close the public comment period and begin deliberation. The record may only be reopened by a vote of the planning commission. What is the will of the commission?
It's good ones I've ever seen, just very thorough. And I don't have any problems with it.
I'm ready to move forward approving it.
I'll make a motion.
I as well, okay.
Make a motion, the planning commission approves application for case file number 627-24-000003, planning based on information presented by the applicant and the responses and findings in the staff report and proposed final order, subject to the following conditions of approval set forth in proposed final order for case file. Planning enumerated as numbers 1 through 7.
Okay. Discussion? Those in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion passes. So that concludes that portion. Do we have any other business?
No other business.
Any public comment? Our public is leaving. Thank you, gentlemen. Any commission comments?
I agree with Brian that that was very well together application.
It was pretty. I mean, I think it's a great addition to the area.
Yeah.
So,
That's a very large addition.
We have a lot of land.
Mhm. 4 acres, that's a lot.
we do. So with that, nothing else, I'll call the meeting. I'll close the meeting at 7:14 PM. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you. And Bobby, if you can end that.